Hello there, friends, and welcome to episode 296 of Just the Zoo of Us. This week, I am joined by a marine biologist and seabird wrangler for a review of the ocean's bravest little water walkers, Leach's storm petrel. We swap whale watching stories, discuss things like snot gutters and lost feet and baby chicks that look like little soot sprites, and our guest shares with us some firsthand insight into life among the seabirds, from falling asleep to a lullaby of screams to a surprising assessment of the smell situation. Just the Zoo of Us presents Leach's Storm Petrel with Melina Watson. Hi there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford with Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast. I'm so excited this week. We have a new friend to talk about a little fella, a little guy that I find very, very charming and that I think very many people have never heard of. And so I think this is going to be a fun treat for a lot of people. We have a brand new friend this week. This is Melina Watson. Say hi, Melina.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
So nice to talk to you. Melina, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Thank you so much. You do some really, really cool work with some very fascinating birds. Melina, what got you into the work that you do with birds?
It was kind of a long and circuitous route. I started studying marine biology and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I kind of went through school. I worked on a whale watching boat for a couple summers, which was really great.
That sounds like a really fun job.
It really was. You got to see some really amazing things. Even just going out and seeing your typical, a minke whale out here is really common, but it still never fails to amaze. It's that's a 30-foot whale. How many people are going to get to see that in their lifetime?
I've talked to a few people on this show that have worked with whale watching, and it's always funny to me, the idea that because for people like me who aren't alongside whales all the time, they're so majestic and so awe-inspiring and everything. And I have to imagine the experience of seeing them every single day, and they just kind of become you know how sometimes you'll have someone who goes to your gym and you just see them all the time and you're yeah, that's that guy. Yep. Having that sort of familiar stranger relationship with whales.
Well, and we have resident individuals who are here every summer, Bread Knife, Hook, Sledge. There's a couple different ones.
Those are really cool names.
Yeah, so there's a whole catalog, and there's a Facebook group where you can upload photos of the dorsal fin, because that's how you identify the minke whales. There's one called Stumpy. He doesn't have a dorsal fin anymore because he probably got into a boating accident or an entanglement or something. But yeah, so there are these individuals that we see on a weekly basis, and depending on the year, they have certain areas they like to hang out in. So the first year that I worked there, there was a lighthouse that 5 finback whales, which are the second largest whale in the world, they all like to hang out there. There's a group of about 5. And one of them we named Snotty because every time that he did his blow, it sounded like his blowhole was full of boogers. It was just it's he seemed fine. He seemed healthy. He just, every time he came up to take a breath, it's oh, there's Snotty.
Get this whale some Flonase or something, dude.
A really big tissue. So yeah, it was really cool. And you got some very interesting questions that really tested your customer service face.
You ever hit someone with it just bruh, be for real right now.
Okay, do you want to hear the worst one?
Please.
This was an adult in their 40s, and I try not to shame. I normally use the no question is a stupid question, but this one I was
we all come from different backgrounds, right? This could be someone who maybe lives in a landlocked place and knows nothing about whales.
Yep. So the question was, Do they not like coming up to the surface to breathe when it's raining because they then might get wet?
So they had me in the first half. The first part, I could see where we were going with this, I thought. Because I was thinking, for a second, I was like, well, hold on, let them cook. Because if it's raining and they come up to breathe, then the rain is going to be going into their blowhole. And I could see that being like a respiratory issue. And then the hard left, right at the end.
And I kind of looked at them for a minute and I'm like, you can't make a face. Keep a straight face. And I was like, well, they're kind of already in the water. So I don't think they care.
It started strong. That started
the first
strong.
Part I was like, okay, that's fair. It's, fresh water, salt water. We could go somewhere with this. And then it was like, well, then they get wet. I'm like,
well, they don't like that.
Dude, they're in the water. They're already wet. There were some cute ones by kids where like one kid was like, well, are these just robot whales? So then we leave the real whales alone. Because we're always looking at the robot whales. And I'm like, okay, this is fun. I can work with this.
You're onto something. This is good. Once again, let them cook.
The other one was asking when we were going to let the whales out from under our boat.
Out from under like you're keeping them there.
Yeah, they thought that they were in like a net underneath our boat. And I'm like, these are 60-foot whales, my guy. Our boat's 30 feet. No.
When are they going to let us out?
Exactly. I'm like, nope.
But that's cool. Like, I feel like that gets the wheels turning, It's
a good way to explain that, like, no, these are wild animals. We are just guests in their space. We have to respect them and their space. And, there's laws in place that are supposed to make sure that you don't intrude on their space, which, we've had some really close encounters where we had like a humpback whale rubbing on the bottom of our boat.
I would have needed new clothes.
You could hear them singing from above the water. And I would like to preface, our boat was turned off. We were just sitting there. Mm-hmm. Like, they completely came up to us. It was completely on their own discretion. Like, we did nothing. We were literally just sitting there. And there was two of them, and they sat right underneath our boat singing for like 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh. I never would have left. I live there now.
We stayed out later than we were supposed to because it was the last tour of the day. So we were like, yeah, we're staying. And that's probably my most memorable one and the most emotional one, because when we got back to the dock, the people getting off the boat were crying, and it was like a large group of 20 or 30 people. And like, we were like, did something happen? Like, are you okay? And they were like, well, the grandmother of the group, she had terminal cancer, and this was on her bucket list of things to do before she passed.
Oh, wow.
So me and my friend Mindy, who were working, we both just like kind of started crying because we're like, oh, this was like the best trip of the season, and like this just made it so much more special.
Yeah.
So you really got a lot of amazing experiences both with people and with the animals.
I've told this brief whale watching story. I think it was on a bonus episode, but I don't think I've said it on the main feed. But in the same vein of like whale watching, where like you get this really, really cool and unique experience. So far, the only time I've ever been whale watching, we were in California in Monterey Bay. We had this one day for going whale watching because it's a long trip. It's like like a 3-4 hour trip.
Yep.
And so we all get on this boat. It's me, Christian, our 2 kids. But the youngest one was like a toddler at the time, and my older son, who at the time would have been, I guess, 8. And, we get out there on this boat, and my older son at first, he's having the time of his life because we're on a boat already. That's a great day for a kid. Being on a boat is very exciting. And the boat is going out into the bay, and we're starting to get some air, like the waves are getting kind of big. And so the boat is kind of like jumping a little bit. And he's like, wow, this is really cool. And that energy kept up for about 30 minutes. And then after about 30 minutes, he was like, I think we're done. Like, that's enough of that. So, we had to go way far out. He started to get seasick.
Oh, I've been there, bud. I feel ya. It sucks.
Honestly, like Christian, my friend that was with us, and Isaac all got seasick. So they're all like queasy and not feeling good. We get out to where the whales are, and everybody like swarms to one side of the boat because that's where like the direction that the whales are going are in. So everyone's off on one side facing the whales. And Isaac, because he's like actively ready to hurl.
Yeah.
He goes to the other side of the boat. So he's looking off of the higher edge of the boat in the opposite direction. He's looking away from the whales.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels awful. He's also a kid, and all of the adults are like along the line of the boat. So he's having a hard time seeing anyway. So he's having a hard time seeing the whales. He feels awful. He's sick. He's kind of bored. So he's just like really having an awful time. He's like really upset, and he's kind of pouting over the edge of the boat. I was like, if you turn around, there's like a whole pod of whales right over there. And he's like refusing to look at them because he's, you know, like when you're a kid, sometimes you're mad, you know? So he's like looking over the side. He's like pouting over the edge. And after doing that for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, one of the whales breaks off from the pod and like swims around to the other side of our boat to where me and Isaac are. And we're the only ones on the side of the boat. So this one whale like breaks off, comes around on our side, and surfaces like 20 feet away from us.
Oh, wow.
Like you could see like the barnacles on its skin and everything like that. And this whale came up and like really slowly came up so its eye was looking at us.
It's spy hopping.
Yeah. And it looked like right at us. And like the fin came up out of the water, and we got like just a really, really cool view of it. And immediately it was a 180 in Isaac's mood. He was like, "Did you? Whoa, that was so cool."
Animals are the best thing to change your day.
It felt like such a chosen one moment, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's just it.
It felt like that whale like chose us. Like it broke away from the rest of the pod and swam over to come look at us.
Oh.
And it even kind of like circled the boat a few times. So it kind of like, we got to see its fins and its tail and stuff. It was kind of like turning and almost like showing off, like putting on a little show for us. And immediately his mood was like drastically improved.
Aww.
And he was having a fantastic time after that. And like, he still talks about it.
I'm so glad he had that experience. Like, that's like a core memory. Like, that's going to stay forever.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times, like you mentioned, like, this being the grandmother's like bucket list item. I feel like there's a lot of times where you just get like a really, really cool, like, thank you, animal. Thank you, wild animal. You could not have possibly known this, but that was exactly what we needed.
Yep. Though we had that a couple times, and there was a great white shark that attacked a seal the one day.
Whoa.
That was really fun to try and explain to children, mind you, because the parents just sat back and let me deal with it. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to tell your kids. How do I tell them there's half a seal carcass sitting over there on the rocks?
I mean, that kid will never forget that.
Well, the kids are like, what's that red thing on the rocks? I'm like, what's left of a seal?
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, babe. It's exactly what it looks like.
I'm like, nature is cruel and brutal sometimes. I don't know if your parents have taught you this yet.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was a fun one to be like, how do I tactfully navigate this?
So how do you get from whales to birds?
So I did whales, and then I did fish, physiology, winter dormancy, which is basically winter hibernating in fish, which love my supervisor. He was great. I don't care about fish physiology all that much. It's cool when I'm not the one actively studying it.
No, I don't want to have to touch them. That's not a part I like.
Yeah, I felt bad. I had to euthanize most of mine. But I'd like been feeding them every day for like 2.5, 3 months. So every time I'm like, Mommy, sorry.
Oh no, you're in too deep.
I'm such an empathetic person. Like, that's why I was like, I can't do physiology because I don't like killing things. And unfortunately, euthanasia, it's a big part because you have to dissect them and see what's going on inside because you can't see that from the outside.
I think that's an important for like budding future like biologists to know, like know your limits.
Yeah.
Know your boundaries.
I learned my limits in first year biology when I almost passed out in dissections. I learned that limitation very quickly. I can do them, I just don't like it. But yeah, during whale watching, I realized I was talking about the birds more than I was talking about the whales. And people were like, could you talk to us about the whales, which is literally why we're here? And I'm like,
oh, you didn't pay for a 4-hour bird watching session?
I'm like, but there's a lot of other cool things here too. So we had a professor at our university who studies seabirds. So I spoke with her. I did a field season on a tiny island off the coast of New Brunswick where it was me and 3 other women research techs and 2 lighthouse keepers on a small island full of thousands of birds. And that was a really, really cool experience.
Was the smell as rancid as I'm imagining it to be?
You go nose blind pretty quick because we didn't leave for like 2 months. In a normal season, it's almost 4 months, but we went when it was peak COVID, so it took a while to get out there. Because of COVID, my initial project that I was going to be doing my master's on didn't happen, so they were like, well, we have a bunch of data on Leach's storm petrels from a bunch of colonies in Atlantic Canada. You know, you could work on that. And I met them when I worked on the island and fell in love. So I've been doing my master's on them since 2020. I took a year off, a leave of absence for a year for mental health reasons. And then I came back and I'm hopefully going to be defending this fall, which is terrifying.
Yes, I've had a few friends that have gone through like the PhD defense process, and I know it's like you're like inoperable for like months leading up to it.
Well, that's literally just been the last 3 years, so
yeah. Now, for people who have never heard of these little fellas, because I have to admit, I had never heard of them either. Do you want to know the first context in which I heard of petrels?
I would love to.
It was Pokemon.
I can see that.
Are you familiar with Pokemon?
Unfortunately, no.
No, that's fine. I think it was the most recent generation of Pokemon games, they put out this Pokemon called Petrel. If you want to do a quick Google of that. It's an electric and flying type Pokemon.
Okay, he's cute.
He's pretty cute, right?
Cute. I can see it. The wing shape, definitely. And the feet.
And at the time I was doing like a series of like videos on social media about like, you know, the real animals that certain Pokemon are based on. And so someone asked me to do a video on Petrel, and I was like, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. But when I was like looking into it, I was like, oh, it's based on a petrel. And I had never heard of them before. So for people who maybe like me prior to that and have never heard of a petrel before, what's a storm petrel?
So admittedly, I had never heard of them until before I went to work on that island and before my master's was like, the pitch was given to me. Like they told me that's Leach. So Leach's storm petrel specifically is the one that I work on and the one that I'm going to be talking about today. But I had also never heard of them.
I feel like it's a deep cut.
It is. And the main reason is that they're nocturnal and they nest on offshore islands and they are predominantly found off continental slopes and pelagic waters. So they, unless you're on a boat far out at sea, generally you're not going to see one.
And also in the middle of the night.
You can see them during the day.
Oh, okay.
But normally the time that people see them, at least if you're researching, is at night because that's when they come back to the island. So these guys are in the order Procellariformes. So these are the tube noses. So they have, you know, their regular bill, and then it looks like they have like a little straw kind of on the top of their nose.
Like the albatross.
Yeah. So the albatross, shearwaters, fulmars, and petrels are all in that order. And then the petrels can be kind of subdivided into storm petrels and diving petrels. So obviously mine is in storm petrels, and they just recently changed their scientific name, and I can never remember which one it is now. I think it's Hydrobates lugohorse. I don't know how to say it, but it means water walker because one of these things these birds are known for is pattering, which I know you've talked about on one of your other episodes.
It got a brief mention, I think, in the albatross episode because they're like related to albatrosses.
Yeah. So these guys are way, way smaller, like itty bitty.
So teeny.
They're teeny tiny. So they only weigh 38 to 52 grams, which is 0.08 to 0.1 pounds.
Oh, they're so tiny,
so
not
they
even
are
a pound.
Very small, very, very small. So we band them, and when you're banding them, basically you're putting a little metal band onto a toothpick leg, which is so very stressful.
I'd be worried about breaking this little guy.
You have to be quite careful. It is seabirds, you're a little bit better. Like if you're working with puffins and diving birds, they're built a little bit sturdier because they're diving and there's a lot of pressure. when they're diving down deep. But with these guys, they're not diving at all, so they are a little bit on the more fragile side. So like the chicks, when they are freshly hatched, I pulled a freshly hatched chick out, and it was about the size of a peach pit.
Is it a cute chick?
Oh, the chicks are adorable. They look like Muppets. They look like Muppets. Their eyes are closed when they're born, and they just kind of have this shaggy dew that just kind of flops over their eyes.
Aww.
Yeah, they're really, really cute.
I'm doing a quick Google search of storm petrel chicks. Yup, that's awesome.
Yeah, they are super duper cute.
In the pictures, it looks like someone is holding like a craft puff, you know, like those little like puff ball things that people make arts and crafts out of. Like they're holding like a little craft puff that just has a tiny little beak sticking out the front.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
They look like the soot sprites from Spirited Away.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good, they're just little cotton balls. So also another thing I would like to preface, do not touch and handle birds if you do not have training. I had to do ethics training and how to handle birds. So anytime that I'm speaking about that, it's because I have training. I'm not just going out there and willy-nilly grabbing birds. And especially with avian flu, you have to be extra careful.
True.
So normally when we weigh birds, we put them in little cloth sacks and you kind of just hang them from a weight that it just pulls down. But these guys are so light that we basically have a tiny Tupperware container that's like the size of a tennis ball. And you put them in there and then you put them on a little scale. And that's how you weigh them because they are just so small.
And the scale is like, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, it's there, kind of, I think.
The scale is like barely any presence detected.
The smallest one that I found, like, I think it had just hatched a few hours prior because it was still wet, which normally we're not supposed to handle them if they're wet. I honestly didn't realize it was a chick because where they nest, there's kind of a lot of damp material. So I kind of just thought it was nesting material. And then I pulled it out and it was the size of a peach pit. And I very quickly looked at it and was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever. And you're going right back into your nest. I'm so sorry.
Sorry to bother you.
It's like, I am so sorry. I will leave you alone for at least another week until you are dry.
So what were y'all doing? Like, what kind of research were you guys doing?
So we monitor 6 different species on the 6 or 7 different species. So Atlantic puffins, razorbills, common murres, Arctic terns, if they're there, common terns if they're there, and common eiders, and the Leach's storm petrel.
Is the eider the duck that goes woo?
Yeah, there's a video going around lately of it. And I never actually knew that that's what they sounded like.
Oh, really? Do they not make that sound like on the island?
So you know how animals normally go with fight or flight? These guys freeze.
Oh.
It's like a rabbit type deal, and I hated going around for them because they would kind of hide in these big bushes, and you wouldn't know they were there until you were pretty much stepping on it. And I'm like, could you please just do something so that
make
I
a
don't
sound?
Anything, because I don't want to step on you.
Yeah, and you don't want to be stepped on.
No.
Let's communicate. Communication is key.
So the island is a seabird sanctuary and a migratory bird sanctuary. So I believe research has been going on through our lab for about 30 plus years. And every year we're monitoring reproductive success. So we look, depending on the species, at lay success, so how many burrows actually get eggs in them, hatch success, out of those eggs, how many of them hatch, and then fledge success, which is out of the eggs that were successfully laid, how many of them actually made it to chicks that eventually left the island and survived at least that portion of their life. And then we also do resighting, which is you sit in a blind with a big scope, and not all the birds, but some of the birds have bands, and you sit there kind of like a peeping Tom and you try and read the bands, and then you input them into the database, And you can see where they've been located in other years or how long they've been on the island. So for the puffins, some of them are older than me.
Wow.
Like I would log in, this puffin, and it was 5 to 10 years older than I was at the time. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay. We also do feeding work. So one benefit of looking at seabirds is we can use the prey that they bring back to the island as a proxy to assess how well the ecosystem is doing. Birds want to feed their chicks the most nutrient-rich species that they can, which generally is going to be like your herring and your sand lance. And then there's kind of a tier where it just kind of slowly goes down in quality. So we're looking at, how much herring are they bringing in a year? Is it mostly herring? Or the one year it was called butterfish. And they're like these weird little loony size. Oh, guys don't have loonies? That's our $1 coin.
Oh, okay. I've heard of this. All right.
Sorry, I was like, wait, you guys don't have loonies. Yeah, it's just like like a ping pong ball diameter fish. But they're not very good for the chicks because they're so wide that the chicks can't eat them. So like if it's a year where they're bringing in a lot of butterfish, that's not really that good for them. So we keep an eye on that to kind of be like, okay, like where are we sitting? How are we doing? And then there's kind of other projects that we do in conjunction with other universities and stuff like that.
Since you got to, spend a lot of time up close and personal, getting to know these birds and watching them grow up, I feel like you have a lot of insight. If this is anyone's first time listening to this podcast, our whole deal is that we rate animals out of 10 in different categories. And the first one is effectiveness, which is physical adaptations, things built into the animal's body that help it do a good job of the things it's trying to do, whether that is find their own food or not become food themselves for other things. Melina, what would you give Leach's storm petrel out of 10 for effectiveness?
So for them, I gave them an 8 out of 10.
That's pretty good it's a little guy.
It is a little guy, and for the most part, I think they do pretty well for themselves. The main thing that I dock them on is that they don't got a lot in the way of predator defenses.
And there's some things out there. There's some gnarly dudes out there.
Which is a problem when you are itty bitty teeny tiny.
Super edible.
Oh, yes. Very edible. Very, very edible.
And out in the ocean, mate, you got ops in every direction. They're coming from above. They're coming from below.
Yup.
It's all bad out there.
Speaking of coming from below, we find a lot of birds on the island missing entire feet.
Uh-oh.
So normally we band them. I can't remember if it's on the left or right leg, but normally we always try to put the band on the same leg. And I remember pulling a bird out and I'm looking at it. I'm like, you don't have a foot on that.
Where do I put this band?
Exactly. I'm like, this dude's missing a foot here.
Oh man, I wonder if there's some birds have probably been accidentally 2 bands on the same bird, right? Because they get banded and then that foot gets ripped off.
Oh, I guess I never really thought about that. That is definitely possible.
And then you find way later you find a shark that has a bird band in its belly.
Honestly, that thing is so small it would have pooped it out.
Oh, yeah.
The bands are so tiny. But yeah, they sometimes are just missing entire feet because, like I mentioned, they walk on the surface of the water. That looks like insects. So even just fish can take a whole foot.
When you're looking at a storm petrel, okay, one of the first things that I notice when I look at them is something that you already kind of mentioned a little bit, which is the tube on their nose, which I think is a trait that they kind of share with albatrosses. What's going on with it? It almost looks like a little unicorn horn. What's going on here? What's happening?
I believe that is for salt excretion. I can't entirely remember, but I believe that is what that's for. Because they're not drinking fresh water. Most of the water that they're getting is through prey, basically.
That makes sense. I know in the albatross had these kind of tubes on their nose and it acted kind of like a pedo tube, on an airplane. I don't know if the storm, if they're spending a lot of time flying over the sea, they probably would need to know that too, right?
Okay, so there's glands that produce a salty solution that is excreted through that tube, goes down the groove to the end of the beak, and then it...
Oh, they got a snot gutter.
Yeah! That's how they take care of that.
So you took a point off because they would be hard pressed to defend themselves against their many, many ops. What did you give them points for?
One of the biggest things that I think is most impressive is the large distances that they can fly. They are one of the most widespread seabirds in the northern hemisphere. So in the Atlantic Ocean, they can be found from Norway all the way over to Massachusetts, and in the Pacific Ocean from Baja California all the way over to Japan.
Wow.
And then that's just during the breeding season. And then during the non-breeding season, they are basically on open ocean all the way down to the tropics. And then for Atlantic species, they sometimes are going all the way down to the tip of South Africa. So they are a small bird. Their wingspan is only 45 to 48 centimeters, which is 18 to 19 inches. And they are just traveling vast distances. So during the breeding season, they do incubation shifts. So they switch off with their partner. And so when they're at sea, they're doing round trip distances of 900 to 2,000 kilometers, which is 560 to 1,250 miles.
For such a small bird.
That's 3 to 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
And then they take a 3 to 5 day break, and then they do that all over again.
They're going the distance. Mm-hmm. They're going for speed.
And they're doing it while carrying food.
Oh, geez. Like in their mouth?
So what they do, that's another reason why I'm giving them points, is because they are out at sea for so long, you're not carrying a fish around for that long. Mm-hmm. They don't have a purse, so they can't put it in a little purse. So
no inventory slots.
No, they really don't. So what they do is they digest it into basically fish oil, which is really nasty when they throw it up on you, which is basically the only defense they have against predators. They just vomit on you. So they digest it into oil, and it's stored in the stomach, and then they just carry that around till, I guess, their tank is full, if you want to think of it that way. And then they bring it home, and they vomit it back up for baby, and that's mom or dad's cooking for the day, and they go on about their business.
So he's going the distance. He's going for speed. She's all alone in her time of need.
But they switch.
Okay.
That is something that I will get into in Ingenuity. They are good. It's mom and dad both do the work. So
I just wanted to reference the song. It's a good song.
But yeah, so I think that's really impressive. That's a really large distance, and for such a small animal.
It reminds me a lot of the hummingbirds that make these huge journeys, because I'm also when you're little like that, you also tend to have high metabolic needs. Mm-hmm. So it's always impressive to me. But I guess if you're a storm petrel and you're flying over the ocean, there's kind of always going to be a food source below you, right? There's kind of always food there.
So that's actually one thing. That's part of why they have to travel such large distances, is because their prey species are super patchy.
Really?
Often they are using geographic or oceanographic features that are basically going to be pushing prey to the surface. Because since they are just pattering, they aren't diving, they can only access what's in that top little strip of the ocean. They can't do what other birds do and, dive down 100 feet to go catch a fish. They're stuck with whatever's up at the top. So they use olfaction and vision to find prey species that is in off the continental slope, open ocean. And they're finding what's called micronectin, which are itty bitty, teeny tiny plankton. So it's krill, copepods, zooplankton, really small fish and squid. They're finding tiny, tiny little animals, and that's what they're eating. And then they also feed nocturnally on myctophid fish, which vertically migrate. So during the day, they're generally a little bit deeper in the ocean where the petrels can't reach, but then at night they come up to the surface.
That was their first mistake.
Yeah. And you're also bioluminescent.
Oh, don't do that. That never helps.
It doesn't. So the birds are oh yay, glowing snack. I'll take that, please.
It's lighting your whole body up with a Joe's Crab Shack sign that's
food here. For
it's
sale.
like a giant Wendy's sign.
Yeah, exactly. It's the equivalent of the glowing arches for Star Petrels. They're like, oh, great, there's my dinner. Awesome. So, yeah, the fish are doing themselves any favors in that department. The other thing that I gave them points for was the fact that they are able to fast for so long. So they're doing incubation shifts that are lasting 3 to 5 days. So mom or dad is sitting on, normally it's the egg, for 3 to 5 days with no food. They're just chilling there. So this is obviously really energetically expensive for them, and they can lose up to 40% of their energy reserves at this time.
It doesn't sound to me like there's a lot of fat on those bones. I feel like there wouldn't be a lot of reserves to lose.
Yep. So in those 3 to 5 days that they're not on the nest, they're having to not only replenish their body reserves, but they're also, once the chick is hatched, bring enough food back for it too. So it's feeding for two.
Can you imagine just having to it sounds like their body is having to double and then half in size every couple of days.
It's crazy. The weight I mean, it doesn't sound that much when you're like, oh, it's a couple grams. And I'm like, oh yeah, but remember, they're sometimes only 40 grams. So in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of weight. So because of this, remember, these are animals, not humans. So this may sound harsh, but they will prioritize themselves over the chick.
I mean, you can always make more chicks from their perspective,
exactly.
Right? They're like, if I survive, I can make more chicks.
So it's like, well, kid, not this year, sorry.
And also, if the parent dies, the chick will not be able to survive without them. So now that's a wash. That's 100%. It does reproductively, for the stability of the population, makes sense to be if I survive, I can make more chicks. If I do not survive, both me and the chick will die, and neither of us will survive. So
and then my mate has to start all over again.
Yeah. I remember in albatrosses too, sometimes the albatrosses, was it albatrosses? Maybe it wasn't albatrosses. Some bird that would always wait for their mate to come back, that sometimes if the mate died while they were out, that the mate that stayed behind would sometimes starve because they were well, I gotta wait for my mate to come back.
That was condors, wasn't it?
Condors, I think that was what it was. Because it was the male condor was would not leave the nest because he was my mate hasn't come back. And I'm bro, there's not enough of you to be doing this.
So luckily these guys aren't that hardcore parents. They're kind of sorry kid, I tried my best. They're not going to put their life on the line for their chicks. They're not about that. And that fasting also continues to the chicks, because once the chick hatches, it's brooded for the first 10 days because at that time it's not able to thermoregulate yet. And then after that, it's pretty much on its own, and it's only visited when its parents come back. So in between, however long it takes for mom or dad to come back, it's just chilling. But when the parents do feed it, they're feeding it 30 to 40% of the chick's body weight.
Bulking.
So exactly.
Cultivating mass.
Exactly. And that's partially an insurance policy where it's well, if I give you a bunch of food, but then your dad forgets to feed you or doesn't get back in time, you at least got a little bit of fat on you, so you should be fine for a little bit.
Oh, that's good forethought, I guess.
Yeah.
Cover your bases.
So they bulk up these chicks so much that when they fledge, they're fledging at 120 to 145% of the adult body weight.
Wow, so they're bigger than that's the biggest they'll ever be.
They're just balls of fat at that point. They're just chubby.
Well, no wonder things are eating these things out of the air.
Yeah, and to the point that sometimes they are so heavy that they cannot fly.
Oh no!
And they have to wait to lose enough weight that they can fly because they're just so darn chubby.
I mean, you got little wings.
Well, and that's also partially, so when these chicks go to sea, they're not once the chick fledges, it's on its own. Parents are yeah, well, I gave you a lot of time and energy.
My job.
You're on your own. So
I'm off the clock, baby.
It's I did my due.
Punching out, shift over.
It's we parented you for 100 days, figure it out. So that extra fat is also kind of, once again, an insurance policy for well, it's going to take you a bit to figure out where to find food and how to hunt for yourself. So in the meantime, eat your own body fat to live, basically.
Yeah. They're like, you got a little bit. We'll give you a little bit of a head start.
It's a care package.
A care package.
It's your care package for when you go out into the big world all by yourself.
It's like when you're moving into like your first dorm or apartment and like you take a bunch of stuff from your mom's house before you go.
Or when you're going home and you don't want to cook, so you're just like, I'm just going to take some of the leftovers in the fridge back to college. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, weirdest thing, I just happen to have a bunch of tote bags in my car. I'll just load these up real quick while I'm here.
Oh, you don't need these groceries, right? I can take them. It's fine.
Hey friends, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. When we get back, we are talking ingenuity and aesthetics for storm petrels. So stay with us.
Are you a celebrity? Are you searching for meaning, connection, and a little levity these days? Hi, I'm Kumail Nanjiani, actor, writer, and yes, a celebrity too. And I've got 4 words for you. Bullseye with Jesse Thorne. Are you tired of junkets? Red carpets, sick of the endless spicy snacks you have to eat? Do you want to connect with someone who gets your work and laugh with you a little? Join me, Andre 3000, Tom Hanks, Tina Fey, and many more and become a guest on Bullseye with Jesse Thorne from NPR and Maximum Fun.
Walking About is the podcast about walking. It's a walkumentary series where I, Alan McLeod, and a fun, friendly guest go for a walkabout. You'll learn about interesting people and places and have the kind of conversations you can only have on foot. We've got guests like Lauren Lapkus,
I figured something out about this map, like how to read it.
Betsy Sidaro,
I had no clue. That's awesome and nuts.
John Gabris,
This is like great first date for like broke 20-somethings, you know?
and more. Check out Walking About with Alan McLeod on Maximum Fun.
The next category that we rate animals on is ingenuity. These are behaviors, things the animal is doing to navigate their world, solve problems that they face, things like that. What would you give storm petrels out of 10 for ingenuity?
I give them a 9 out of 10.
It sounds like there's some wheels turning in the little noggin.
And I kind of struggled with this because part of me was like, I didn't know if I should put it in ingenuity or effectiveness, because it's a little bit of both, where it's like the behavior is being impacted by the biology, but I tried my best. And I know you mentioned pattering.
Yes, I want to talk about pattering.
Okay.
Why are they doing this? It's so cute. I've seen videos of them doing this. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I love it so much. It reminds me a lot of those videos that are taken from like below an awning. You know, like there will be like someone that's underneath some sort of cloth, like fabric awning or something, and like ducks will walk on top of it, and you see the little shadows of the duck feet, like just looking, like that's what it reminds me of. But it's so cute to see. There has to be a reason. Why are they doing this?
So I didn't quite read a paper that exactly said why they do it. If I had to guess, I would say it probably has to do with energy conservation, where like if you land in the water, then you kind of got to get yourself up and out of the water. Whereas if you're still kind of in the air, you don't have to take the effort to like get your bulk up again.
So it's more like a lift thing.
Yeah, because they have really wide webbed feet. I'm holding my fingers up like anyone can see. Yeah, they have a lot of webbing between their toes. They basically just like spread their toes and they lift their wings, and it literally looks like they're dancing on the surface of the water, kind of like what you described with the awning. And then kind of as they go, they're just plucking things out of the surface of the water as they go. So I'm wondering if it has to do with, A, they can kind of move faster that way between prey. If like it's a bit more spread out in an area, not really densely packed, then they're not kind of having to doggy paddle over to the next piece of food. They're just like I'm just going to dance my way over.
I guess it makes sense because, like, they don't want to fully commit to being in the water. And also there's more dangerous stuff down there.
Yes.
So maybe you don't want to be fully in the water. But they also kind of need to, like, hover over an area. So it would be difficult to kind of, like, swoop down. I don't know, like seagulls or something might, like, swoop down into the water. But that would be difficult to do if you're trying to get a bunch of little tiny things out of the water.
The only other way that I've really seen species be able to do this is, like, skimmers. I don't know if you've seen those where
I've
like
seen
they
pictures
have,
of them.
Yeah, with like the really long bottom bill, but they're bigger, so they have enough kind of oomph that they can do the water resistance. Where I don't really know if petrels would have enough oomph for that. But yeah, like you're sitting in the big blue. I know you've spoken about your fears of open ocean a little bit.
Thalassophobia. I can appreciate it aesthetically from dry land.
I've done scuba diving and I'm fine if I can see the bottom. If you stick me out where I can't see the bottom, I will have a panic attack.
I don't like that. I don't like it.
I remember there was a dive that I did and it was a straight wall that went down like 1,500 feet.
Nope.
And I remember poking my head out over the edge and I just went, nope. It was like, nope.
Whatever's down there, it's not my business.
Exactly. It's like, I am perfectly happy sitting at 15 feet with my little scuba tank and just puttering around and seeing what's hanging out at 15 feet. I do not feel like seeing what's down. I don't think the things can see me and I can't see them.
Yeah, I don't. And I feel like it wasn't meant for human eyes. Human eyes were never meant to see that.
And petrels are so small that I'm like, it really wouldn't be. I think there's maybe it's Blue Planet 2, where it's a large fish that goes to an island that breeds petrels, and the fledglings go in the water, and these fish just take them out left, right, and center.
Oh no! I would cry.
And so I'm like, it's not that hard. Like, they're not that big. They got a beak, sure, but if you're already in its mouth, that's not going to do you very much good.
It seems to me like the fact that they are nocturnal is a really interesting behavioral adaptation, because I feel like I don't know of very many nocturnal birds. You know, like owls and maybe like nightjars and stuff come to mind, but I can't think of very many nocturnal birds. But it makes a lot of sense that they would want to be out when their prey would be glowing.
So it's partially for the glowing food, and it is partially as predator avoidance. Particularly if it's really dark and there's a lot of cloud cover, you get a lot of petrels out at night. So they only come back to the colony at nighttime because that is when they are most likely to not get aided. Because even something as simple as a seagull can take these guys down. The adults, no problem. Easy peasy. So being nocturnal kind of gives them cover for that, other than on Bon Potage Island in Nova Scotia, there is a family of great horned owls.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right, because guess what's nocturnal? Owls!
Nocturnal, and also, like, very, like, voracious predators in the air.
Yeah, so unfortunately on that island, the petrels make up the bulk of the owl's diet. But generally speaking, coming back to the burrows at night is better for them. And then with that, the other cool thing that I have for Ingenuity is they nest in burrows.
Interesting.
So especially when it gets later in the summer and the grass grows, the holes are maybe the size of your fist in diameter, and they can go back quite far. And then at the very end, there's a little cavity, which is where they have the chick. They sometimes put down some like feathers and grass and stuff, but they have a burrow, and that's where they live because it's protection from aerial predators. Unfortunately, that does not protect you from things like mustelids.
Always the villain.
They're so cool, but I'm also like, go away.
Go home. You don't even go here.
Because I think I was reading this weasel swam like over 3 kilometers to get to this offshore island. And just...
The dedication to hating.
And I'm like, could you just not? Please.
A dedicated hater.
There's food on the mainland. So that is also another thing for Ingenuity. They nest on offshore islands specifically because they are not supposed to have mammalian predators.
How are they coming by these burrows, though? Are they making the holes?
Yep.
Really?
So it's the males.
The males.
It's the males that are digging the burrow. They spend about 3 nights digging the burrow. So they don't come to reproductive age until they're about 3 or 5. For those first 3 to 5 years, they are what we call prospecting. So they're flying around to different colonies, kind of seeing what's up, picking where they think is best. And then once the male builds the burrow, they do courtship, which unfortunately we don't know a lot about because it happens at night and we can't see at night. We do know they are likely using calls. So there's 2 main calls that I've heard, which is the chatter call and the purr call, which I have a clip of. It's super cute.
Oh boy. That's adorable. I love that.
So, and then this is the other one.
Bars? Okay.
So that's what you hear all night.
They sound like kookaburras.
A little bit, yeah.
So they're just dropping the beat all night long. It's just an EDM festival.
Yeah, like when we're falling asleep at night, you just hear them. Them and the Murs screaming, which honestly, I would take the Petrels over the Murs screaming any day. Because they just are like, "Rah!" They don't sound cute at all. But yeah, so they do these purr calls either from the ground or inside the burrow. And these 2 calls are generally to attract mates. And you can actually use them to rebuild petrel colonies.
Really? What does that mean?
So they are strongly attracted to conspecifics, which is individuals of the same species.
The bros, the homies.
Yeah, because to them, if there's other friends there, then this island is probably a hop-in place. Like, there's probably good food. There's probably not a lot of predators because, like, they've managed to make it here so far. So to attract petrels either for mist netting, which is one thing that we do for research, or to just rebuild a colony that's maybe been abandoned or has been demolished by an invasive species or something.
Thanks, weasels.
Not calling them out or anything. Yeah, you just put speakers on the island and it will attract birds to it. We've done this, a similar thing with terns on our island, except for we use physical decoys, which it's literally just a wooden painted tern. And we stick them on the lawn, and then the terns that are flying over are like, hey, there's my friends. I'm going to go live there now. And
not catfishing the birds.
You know what? It works. We've had to do that a couple of times because the terns have left for a multitude of reasons. So it works. It brings them back. It gets them nesting there again.
It's like people who use like dating apps and stuff to like market their business. You know what I mean? Like I've heard of people doing that where they'll make like a fake profile on like a dating app to like
it's an interesting tactic.
To like sell stuff to people or like get them to like go to their, I don't know, shop or restaurant or something.
It's an interesting tactic. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about for Ingenuity was the kind of reproduction, because they are monogamous, which means that they share the same mate every year.
Very romance.
Except for it's more closely tied to the burrow than it is to the actual bird.
Listen, the way rent is, if you got a good lease.
Which I'm like, you know what? Valid.
Yeah, like
I like the house, you're a bonus.
It's like, listen, in this economy, honestly, like, is it cheaper to go to couples counseling than to break this lease?
So we actually now know that they're just more tied to the burrow than to the actual mate itself.
Hilarious. Interchangeable occupant.
Granted, the biparental care is still very important because they are doing the incubation shift swaps. So if you're able to keep the same mate for multiple years, you have a higher chance of being able to raise that chick because it's more efficient. You know what your partner's kind of shift schedule is like, how long they're able to withstand being left alone, like max time before maybe their body reserves run out. So for them, it's just better if they keep their mate. Once the breeding season's over, see you next year. Like, it was nice seeing you for the last 100 and whatever days. I'll see you again in 200.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, yeah, I'll see you here next year. Hope you have the house clean by the time I get back. There is divorce.
Oh, you hate to hear it.
Well, if you don't got a good partner and
That's
they
true.
let the kids die,
That is like
you know,
up there on list of responsibility. It's kind of like you had one job, you know?
you literally do.
Objective survive.
So if there is breeding failure, normally more than two or more years, then they're like, yeah, no, this isn't working, honey. We're done.
Devastating.
And they will either switch burrows or they will switch mates. And then you kind of got to start all over again.
They will get a cute haircut.
Feather cut.
They will cut their hair really short and they will get a bunch of really cute clothes, post a lot of selfies on Instagram.
And they will find themselves a new friend who has a better house than he could ever have hoped to have. There was some very intricate burrows that we found. We called one the Petrel Palace.
Ooh.
Because it was this big mound of dirt. And so we generally monitor the same burrows every year. But all of these burrows, the tunnels were like intertwined with each other. So there's 4 of us. And 3 of us had our arms in different holes. And we're basically seeing like who we could touch through the holes. And it was like, okay, this hole's connected to you because I can feel your hand. That is your hand, right? Yes. Okay, good. And I don't know if we ever actually did find a nesting cavity because they all kind of went into this central tunnel that just went straight down. And
Oh, you need MTV Cribs.
I'm not Elastigirl, so I can't do it, unfortunately.
You need an episode of MTV Cribs. You need a house tour.
Or a burrow cam.
That was like the Petrel like influencer house.
It was quite impressive. They had quite a setup going. I have very short arms, so trying to do, we call it grubbing, which is when you stick your hand down either a petrel or a puffin burrow and you basically see if something bites you.
Love to do science.
I was not very good at it because I don't do with jump scares.
Right.
So
yeah.
And I feel like anyone's natural reaction to sticking your hand into a dark hole in the ground.
That seems like an evolutionary instinct. That's like your body's like, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
And the puffins hurt. Like, we have scars on our hands from these guys because, like, they got that big bill and they're nasty.
Your body was rejecting the process. Your body is like, we're not supposed to be doing this.
It was like, no, that's a hole. You don't know what's in there. No. So
stop doing this.
I fully admit I was not very good at grubbing. That was not my skill set. I tried, but A, I have short arms, and B, my body just hates jump scares. So it was like, no.
All you got to do is wait for the petrels to move out. And then when they put their Zillow listing up, then you can look through all the photos and see. And hopefully they leave all their stuff in there before they take the Zillow pictures, because then you get to see all of their stuff. And that's my favorite part of when someone in my neighborhood moves out.
I was like, ooh, what do you got?
Yeah.
I want to see what your house looks like.
What you got going on in there?
I've done that with old houses that I used to live at. Like my childhood home, I like every now and then I'm like, is it up for sale? I'm curious to see what it looks like.
Yeah, like I want to see like what kind of people live in there.
What do you got
kind of
going on?
furniture they got in there. And then when you pull it up and it's all that like CGI, like
Ugh.
it's like it's like 3D models of furniture and stuff, and you're like, ugh.
Whatever happened to good old furniture?
I want to see someone's like awkward family photos in the Zillow
Way
listing.
more homey. Way more homey.
So we have kind of touched a little bit on the aesthetics of the storm petrel, but the last category that we rate animals on is aesthetics. It is how nice this animal is to look at, whether it is cute or cool or however you want to interpret that. Melina, what do you give Leach's storm petrel out of 10 for aesthetics?
So I have two different ratings. One is for the chick and one is for the adult.
This makes sense.
The chick is an easy 10 out of 10.
It's so good.
It is a tiny Muppet that makes cute little chirping sounds.
They're literally like, I could not even give you an anatomical sort of like, it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, where's the head?
Wherever the pointy bit is. Just look for the pointy bit.
There's no sort of like discernible features, which is great. I like a blob.
And when they're really little, they're still kind of like, you know how babies, they kind of still like scrunch when they're really little?
Oh, yeah.
So like the petrels kind of do that, where when they're really little, they still kind of got their legs all tucked up from being in the egg. And they just have the cutest little cheeks. They're like, it's so cute. I can't. That was a really bad impersonation. It's way cuter in person.
I can imagine that when they're wet, they might look a little cursed.
It's not much uglier than a naked baby bird. Like, it's not great, but it's definitely a step up from a naked baby bird.
This is a good, cute baby bird.
Once they dry off, they're fine.
Now, what about the adults?
The adults, I give a 7 out of 10. And then they get a bonus point to bring them up to 8 out of 10 because they are the only seabird that I have been around that smells nice.
What? They smell nice?
So I know this sounds crazy, I swear, but all of us loved Petrel Day because we're like, yay, the birds aren't going to smell gross.
Really? They don't smell bad?
It's like a musky, sweet, citrusy smell.
Oh.
It's really hard, like, because when I first got there, you know, and like we were doing our first Petrel Day, they're all kind of like, oh, the seabird smells so good, like just wait till you smell it. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. There's no way. And then I smelled it, I'm like, oh crap, they're right. If they vomit on you, all bets are off. It smells horrible. But pre-vomit, they smell really great. And then the bird bags smell really good for the adults. And but otherwise, scent aside, like they're just kind of like a classic, elegant bird.
They do have almost like a swallowy sort of silhouette to them.
And like they're not really colorful. They're kind of a browny, gray, black, kind of a bluey gray. They got the little white booty with the forked tail, and they have these really angular wings. So it's simple elegance, I would say.
It makes a nice silhouette.
Yes.
It's funny because, like, I feel like the thing about them, like, not smelling bad and not being stinky is, like, when I do, like, research, when I do notes on an animal, that's the sort of thing that doesn't come up, like, in the literature, right? So that's, like, the insight you only get from, like, being out there in where they live, you know, from, like, being amongst them. That's the insight that you're not going to get. That's not going to be like on the Wikipedia page.
No, and like for us, the island that we were on, there's no fresh water. So the only fresh water that we had was rainwater that was collected. So we could only shower like once a week.
So these birds are smelling better than you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Baby wipes were your friend. That like baby wipes were my saving grace because the birds get anxious. What do you do when you're anxious? You have a nervous poop. The birds do the same thing. I wore rain pants, so it just slides right off, but the other people that I worked with would wear like coveralls, so it just kind of soaks in. And I'm like, ugh, no.
The glamour of scientific research.
Exactly. And like we had it lucky. Like we had a house that had heating and a stove and a roof and a toilet. We had 5-star resort level field station.
You're living the life of luxury.
Right, we had internet. It wasn't great, but we had like internet. Whereas other people are literally like my supervisor, she used to tent it in Alaska for a summer.
Wouldn't be me.
Yeah, I've only gone tenting once and I ruined that for everybody because I walked out of the tent in the middle of the night in a thunderstorm. So tenting was not a thing that I did growing up. So I'm like, you know what? This luxury field study site, it's nice. But yeah, so the petrel smelled better than we did. It just felt like a spritz of perfume once a week. in amongst fishy seabird stinkiness.
I feel like if I did see like a perfume or a cologne that was marketed as like smelling like storm petrels or like any sort of seabird, it wouldn't be the first one I would reach for, but it could be a trust the process.
Honestly, that is so valid. You'd be like, I don't want to smell like fish.
I saw a candle one time that was like the name on, because the names will always be something like clean linens or, like summer night or something like that. And there was one that was called like Island Flamingos. And I was like, this was named that by someone who's never been around flamingos.
I was going to say, I was like, I have question. Is it just because it was pink?
I think it was like a tropical sort of beachy sort of smell. But I was like, you can smell flamingos from like half a mile away and not in a good way. They are rank. I was like, I would not buy any sort of fragrance that evoked flamingo.
Yeah, that's not the best option, I don't think, for naming. It got it got people talking about it. So like, you know what? Maybe it did work.
I still remember it years after I saw it.
It's like you remember it, but you didn't buy it.
Maybe a Petrel cologne, a storm Petrel cologne could be a hit. Could be something.
I'd buy that.
Well, Melina, for anyone who has learned a lot today and would like to hear more from you, would like to learn more, about the work that you do, and also is a fan of books and likes reading, can you let people listening know where they can find you?
So right now I am on Instagram at Books and Burbs. That's BIRBS because birds was already taken. So sad. About 3 times a week I post photography, normally birds, and then the other 4 days I post either things that I'm reading or just book aesthetic photos or my cat. My cats.
What kind of books do you usually gravitate towards? What are your genres of choice?
Mostly fantasy and romance.
We got some romantasy girlies in the house.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Kind of depending on my mood. I'm very much a mood reader. I'm not a TBR, stick to it kind of person. So yeah, lately I've been reading a lot of romance just because I need a little bit of happiness in my life with how things are going at present. But mostly fantasy and romance. The romance is not mostly for children, so just as a preface.
It's grown-up hours.
Yes, it is. It is not for small listeners. It is for adult readers.
Is there anywhere else that you would like people to go afterwards? Anything that you want to like leave people with, or anything that sort of action items? What can people do next?
Yeah, so the species that I'm working on, one of the big reasons why we're working on it is because they are being uplisted from least concern to vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. No. That was in 2016. And in 2020, they were uplisted to threatened by COSWIC, which is the Committee on the Status of Endangered Wildlife in Canada. It's a long title. And populations are declining by up to 61% at individual colonies.
Oh, no.
So Baccalieu Island, which is off Newfoundland, is the largest colony in the world. It has 25% of the world's population, about 2 million breeding pairs on one island, and it's declined by 42% in the last 30 years. We're not entirely sure. We have, some reasons why the mortality is increasing and why their populations are declining. One of the big ones is plastic ingestion, especially microplastics and smaller pieces of plastic that are floating at the water surface. Like I said earlier, they're picking up food from the water surface. So any small plastics, recycling that's a big one. Probably the biggest thing individually that you can do as a person is show your support with your vote and with your dollars. So, if environment is something that's really important to you, supporting political movements or political groups that are, pro-climate change, or not pro-climate change, sorry.
Pro-climate change.
Sorry, I meant like trying to help prevent climate change. There we go. Words. Please delete pro-climate change. We don't want that. Please delete that. knowledge is power. It's important that you learn how to think critically. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't just apply to this species. Like, this is an action item for just environment in general and everyday life is, actively think about your decisions and how it has other impacts, and just be curious.
100%. Yeah.
Because, I've always been but why?
Yeah.
Which I feel like, I'm sorry, Mom, that was probably super annoying when I was a kid. But yeah, like, I was always like, well, but why? Like, why is that a thing? Why is that happening? Feed that curiosity. Don't lose that curiosity. Don't lose that joy.
Lean into it. Because
it's so easy to get away from that when you're an adult and you're busy. And, everyone says, you hit your birding when you're in your birding phase, when you're in your 40s or your 50s or whatever. I'm like, hit it in your 20s.
Do it now.
Like, my boyfriend and I are avid birders. Like, we go out whenever we can, and it makes you be present. It makes you notice things. And yeah, just being curious, using your library, learning things so that you better understand the world around you. But I think just being conscientious and caring about the environment and your fellow people, because one thing that I personally have seen a big difference in for myself is I used to be very like, well, we just have to save the animals even if it's at the expense of people. And that was kind of like in high school, early university, when you're still kind of naive and you don't...
I think that's where a lot of people start.
Yeah, and you don't get the full picture yet. And now that I'm older, I'm like I get where I was coming from, but I'm like...
It's not realistic.
No, we have to figure out a way. Conservation is not going to work if only people are benefiting, and conservation is not going to work if only animals are benefiting. We have to find a way to make it so that both of us can, which means thinking outside the box sometimes. And it means also making sacrifices. So like, for the one example I can think of off the top of my hand, palm oil is a big problem. Maybe that means you don't buy products with palm oil in it. Maybe that means you don't get to use your favorite, shampoo, face cleaner, whatever. That's a pretty small sacrifice to make. Even just something small like that, we're like realizing that like the exfoliator in your body wash is microplastics and being like, oh, we're just not going to do that. If, everyone's always like, well, me only doing that isn't going to make a big difference. But if a bunch of people do it, then it will make a difference.
Right. Find the things that you're passionate about and the things that you can, make sacrifices for and that you can make actions for. And it doesn't have, because it can be overwhelming. You can get lost in like, well, there's so many problems, right? Like, there's so many things that are wrong and there's so many things. It's like, pick the things that you're passionate about and the things that you can realistically take action on and like lean into those. Maybe you can't do everything, but like there's some things that you probably can do. So pick the things that matter the most to you and like lean into those.
It's so easy to burn out. And like what you were saying, where if you just start thinking about all the problems, that was me last night having a mental breakdown. Because I was just like thinking about all the problems and I'm like, there's no way I could do this. But then like you said, if you're like, okay, what's most important to me personally? Maybe you pick the top 3 on your list and you really focus all of your energy into those. Sure, maybe you're not working on all those other things, but maybe those other things are somebody else's top 3.
Yeah, true.
And then everybody's different, which is a good thing. The world wouldn't work if everybody was the same. So having different interests and different passions, it's a good thing. Keep those.
Yeah.
Nurture those.
Yeah.
Keep learning. Keep asking why.
Well, I've had an awesome time learning from you today, and I think that a lot of people listening probably also learned some new things. And for anyone else who is also keeping in touch with their own curiosity and interested in learning new things, I hope everyone follows along with you, and joins you on your book and bird journey.
Excited to see hopefully some new faces.
Melina, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a delight.
Thank you so much. It was really awesome talking with you.
Thanks, Melina. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening. I hope these little storm petrels are pattering away across the surface of your heart. If you liked what you heard, I hope you leave behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you want to hang out with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can also send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have a cool animal you'd like to hear us talk about on the show. We would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside their other amazing shows like the ones that you heard promos for here today. You can go check those out, learn more about the network, and how you can be a part of supporting our show, plus get access to our monthly bonus episodes over at MaximumFun.org. Finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music. That's all for today. We'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye!
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.